Hey there, and welcome back to By His Grace Marriage Ministry Podcast. My name's Amanda. Shalom to all of you. I pray you all are doing well. I am coming on this evening with a really, really important word that I want to share. I actually just got through or finished having a conversation with someone who emailed me earlier today with a really, really important question that they had and needed some advice. And anyways, we ended up talking earlier this evening, and it ended up being quite a long conversation. And, when we got near the end of the conversation, this person said, can you please share this and, do an episode? I know you're on a break from your podcast ministry, but can you please share this? Because I feel that there are many people going through what I'm going through right now. And I said, yes, absolutely. I agree with you. I totally feel the ruach on this topic. And it's a topic I've, of course, have talked about before in this podcast ministry. And I just, I feel like this is probably what 50 to 60% of people are going through right now, and they just don't know how to do it or what to do. So anyways, the topic is about counterfeit relationships and how to remove yourself from a counterfeit situation or relationship, or even I think the term is situationship, where you're not a couple, but because of obligations, you have to communicate with one another and so on and so forth. So again, this topic has been interwoven in a lot of my episodes because, again, I feel that so many people are going through this right now. I went through it as well, but a long time ago. I got out of my counterfeit relationship years ago. And honestly, I just, it's not going to be the same process for everybody because, again, it just depends on it depends on a number of factors. It depends on how long you've been with this person. Did you have children with this person? Were you actually, legally married under Babylon, or were you just cohabiting together? There's just so many different factors. And one of the biggest things that is, I think, I'm going to say not one of the biggest, two of the biggest things that are causing people to remain stuck in bondage in these counterfeit situations is, one, obligations. That could be financial. It could have to do with kids. There's quite a bit, and I can't go through all of them right now, but those are the main two, it seems. And it could be both tied in together. It could be one or the other. And the other thing is the person is worried about what other people are going to think and if they're going to hurt that person. Okay. A while back, I did an episode. Abba has been bringing these warnings to me for people. And, I never thought that he would use that ministry for this. I thought this was just, I don't want to say teaching ministry, but like an edifying one where I would just, share what I've learned through scripture and what he's given me on the topic of marriage and family, especially those that are given a second chance. I never thought, though, he'd have me share warnings and things like that. He hasn't had me share any dreams or visions, but I have given a few warnings so far, and majority of it has to do with these counterfeit relationships or situationships. And so anyways, I was talking with this person earlier today, and of course I have their permission to share this. I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm going to share more or less what this topic was about. So this person knows that they are in a counterfeit relationship, right? So obviously when you're in a counterfeit situation, the first step is realizing that you are in something that Yahuwah never ordained for you to be in, okay? Whether it was by your own will or your own choice, whether the enemy, trapped you into that situation some way, somehow, regardless of how you got into it, you have to come to the realization that this is not Yahuwah's will for you. This person is not for you. This job is not for you. Where you're living is not where you're supposed to be at, and so on and so forth. Okay, even ministry, you can even be in a wrong ministry. You could be misusing the gifts that He's given you. I mean, we have to really be careful. We really need to seek Abba regarding every area of our life, to make sure we are aligned with His will. So, and of course, I've said yes, there's free will, but if you are a child of the Most High and you have made the decision to step out of free will and to go into the will He has for you, then you need to align yourself with that. You can't have one foot in with Elohim and then the other one in Babylon in the world, right? So, anyways, the first step is realizing that you are in a counterfeit situation. Okay. And listen, for some people, it happens not too long after the fact. For some people, it takes years for them to realize that what they've been in, what they've been involved in, it just was not for them. It wasn't right for them. A lot of people are blinded, misled. I mean, you name it, right? And we know that Satan, that's what he does, right? He wants to keep us from whatever it is that Yah has for us, or whoever it is that Yah has for us. So he does that often, right? So anyways, the first step is realizing. Once you've realized, like, this is not for me, this is not the person for me, I should have, never done this and that. And the next thing is realigning yourself with, well, let me say it this way, repenting, right? Because more than likely, if you're outside of Yahuwah's will for your life, more than likely you are in some type of sin, okay? One way or another, you're probably in some type of sin, okay? Especially if you are in a counterfeit relationship that you're not even legally married. And again, even in Yahuwah's eyes, even if you're legally married, He still views it as an adulterous relationship because it's not your spouse. Sex outside marriage, but not just sex outside marriage, but sex with anybody that is not your spouse, it's adultery. Okay. You will hear people say, oh, once you have sex with somebody, that's your spouse. No, please, brothers and sisters, stop listening to those false doctrines. Okay, that's so twisted and so wrong, it's not even funny. No, Yahuwah has a spouse for you if He has called you to marriage, and unless you are with that person, anybody else is not your spouse in His eyes. Okay, marrying them or having sex with them does not make them your spouse. I don't care what Babylon says. I don't care what people twisting scripture say. Okay, let's just get that out there. So anyways, once you come to this realization, right? And again, it doesn't matter how long you've been in this relationship or whatnot, okay? If you are outside of the will of Yah for your life, more than likely you are in some type of sin. So repent and then realign yourself with what He has for you. And by doing that, you need to be in prayer. You need to seek Him regarding the next steps of your process and what you need to do. Now, everybody's process will be different, okay? It won't be the same for everybody because, again, there's a lot of factors that come into play, especially the more bigger ones, like if there's children involved, if there's finances involved, if you're living with this person, okay, at the time that you realize I'm in a wrong relationship, you know what I mean? There might have to be a divorce that takes place. And I know, please don't come after me in emails and, telling me all the stuff that, Yahuwah doesn't like divorce and blah, blah, blah. Listen, I've already explained all of this in past episodes about that. If you haven't heard them, go back and listen to them. You'll know them by their titles and their descriptions. I've already explained this. So for some of you, you might have to go through a divorce. For some of you, you have to move out, right? But when I was talking with this person said the hardest part for me is telling this person because I don't want to hurt them because they're a good person. I just know they're not my person. They're not my spouse. And I realized that. And, I know that in order for Yahuwah to bless me with what He has for me, I have to remove myself from this. And I said, yes, you do. And they said, but I just don't know how because I don't know how to tell this person, And the thing is, there can be relationships that are absolutely toxic. I mean, you've been done with one another for a long time, but you still don't have it in you to hurt this person, right? You still don't have it in you to tell this person. Or maybe you could be fearful of their reaction because maybe they might react in a way that is very negative, could be harmful, could be toxic. I think I talked about in one episode not too long ago that if you have children with this person and they're using these children against you, right, to keep you or to just cause frustration in your life and stuff like that. Of course, that's not right on that person. But at the same time, it's a situation, as hard as that is, it's a situation that you have to leave in Yahuwah's hands, because let me tell you something. People that do that, it's wicked in his eyes, and he is a just Elohim, and he will take care of it in his timing, in his way that he sees fit. I think I was saying in my blending family episodes that, some of you might have to sacrifice for a while. You might have to, for those of you, for any brothers out there, because it's usually how it happens. Usually the kids are with the mother. You might have to sacrifice not seeing your kids for a little bit, let them, if the mother, wants to be that kind of toxic person and use the children as pawns, so to speak, you're just going to have to just let Yahuwah be sovereign in that situation. Let him be in control, and he will justify it. I know it's not easy. I know it's not fair. But unfortunately, there are people that do this, and it makes it hard. So what I'm saying is there are some people that won't speak up because they're afraid of what this person's going to do, okay? Or they're afraid of what family and friends are going to think or say. And then there are some people that simply just don't want to hurt the person. They don't know how to tell the person, listen, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be in this anymore. And I understand that because I'm the same way. I have that same kind of heart where it's hard for me to tell somebody, no, it's hard for me to tell somebody, I'm sorry, but, because it does hurt, right? Even if you and this counterfeit both know you guys are not meant to be together, it's not working out, it has been working out in a long time, it can be hard to do that, and it can be hard to break habits, right? Let's just say there's someone that's been with a counterfeit for years, right? And even though they both know, like, that no matter how hard they've tried to make this relationship work, it just never works, right? But they've gotten used to being around each other. I'm sure they're friends, and here's the thing, if they're living with this counterfeit, that makes it even more challenging, because now the person that's woken up and realizes this is a counterfeit relationship and they want to get out of it, they're like, I have nowhere to go, I gotta find somewhere else to live, and this, that, and the next thing. Listen, and I know it's hard, okay? So I'm gonna go over each of these, okay? So let's start with, if you're in a situation, okay, and I'm speaking to the prodigals, I'm speaking to the ones that are woken up, they know this is a counterfeit relationship, they need to leave this relationship, okay? If not, you're going to be in bondage for the remainder, and you're never going to be able to be with your Yah ordained spouse, okay? So that's the first step. If you're facing a situation where you have obligations with this person, whether it's financially, whether it's children, whether it's that you guys share a place together, right? Y'all live together. Listen, I'm not here to judge, okay? I think whoever's in these situations, they know where the sin comes in, okay? Because the world will say, oh, if you're living together, after a certain amount of time, you guys are automatically this, that, and the next. Listen, no. So I really advise you that if you are living together, and I just did an episode the other day, a message for someone that I don't know if they were living with this person, but they were still fornicating with this person on and off. I don't know if it's for the same person or if this is for a group of you, but if you are living with a counterfeit person, if you are living with someone is not your Yah ordained spouse, listen, please start working on, start making moves and get out of there, okay? For some of you, you might have to go stay with a family member for an amount of time. You might have to go stay with a friend. You might have to get a hotel room. You might have to, I don't know, just do what you got to do, because living with this person is sinful in Yahuwah's eyes. And the longer you're with this person, the worse it is, okay? And for some of you, that's why some of you feel stuck. So literally, there are people that are in counterfeit situationships that literally are still there because they have nowhere else to go. They're literally like putting up with one another and living there. You're pretty much like roommates, okay? And for some of you, it is roommates, nothing's going on. For some of you, there is still fornication and stuff going on. Not good, okay? But again, I'm not here to judge or nothing like that. That's not my place. But for some of you, that's the issue, okay? What I can advise to you is if especially if you're a man and you're working, you need to start looking for your own place. Okay? You need to start looking for your own place, get a little apartment, roommate with somebody. You might have to go back to a family member. I get it. It's hard, especially if you have a job. You know what I'm saying? You want to stay close to that job. I understand that. Maybe you are someone that is fortunate. Maybe you have a trailer or something. Move into that. You know what I'm saying? Like, do what you got to do. Pray about it, and Yahweh will make the way, because living with this person, even if it's what's the word I'm looking for? Not civil, but platonic. Even if you guys aren't doing anything, I recommend that you find your own place. Okay, definitely do that, because that's your first step of breaking things off for good. Okay. If the other situation is that you have obligations with this person, whether it's finances, again, you're sharing a place. So getting your own place will take care of that. If you have children with this person, you need to take care of that. You might, I said this in my last episode, as much as I despise the Babylonian systems, you might have to take it to court so that there are no issues, so that this person cannot say that you're not, taking care of your kids, you're not paying for them, whatever, especially once you marry your ordained spouse. You don't want those issues to come back around, okay? I sadly have heard of situations like this happen. So if you have children, you need to, of course, always go to Yah in prayer first, but you may have to take it to the next level and do things through the courts. You might have to do, and again, I hate even suggesting to anybody doing anything through the Babylonian systems, but in this case, it might be something you might have to do, especially if this person, the parent of your child or your children, could be like what I said earlier, where they're toxic, or they're using these kids or children or child to keep you, stuck to them or whatever. I mean, you'll know this is for you, because you know what your situation is, you know who you're dealing with. Okay. So yeah. So if you're living with them, if there's obligations like finances, again, if you're living with them, you're sharing the cost of living or whatever, you're playing house with them, things like that. Now, if the other situation is that you don't know how to break the news to this person, okay, I understand, and this is what I was talking about with the person I was talking with earlier today, and this is what brought this whole thing around. They just didn't know how to tell this person. The only thing that I can advise is, of course, first and foremost, go to Yah in prayer and see what he reveals to you. He will let you know in his own way, whatever way it is that he communicates with you, how to break it to this person, okay? The other thing that I can tell you from my perspective is honesty is always the best policy. Here's the thing, brothers and sisters. Heartbreak is a part of this life, okay? Even Yahusha tells us that in scripture, that we're always going to face trials. I just talked about that yesterday or the day before. I don't even remember when I think it was Saturday. Yeah, it was on Shabbat. So I talked about that on Shabbat. We're going to face trials and we're going to deal with heartbreaks, okay? It's going to happen. And there's always going to be outcomes like that when we've done things wrong, okay? And that's just a realization that we have to come to. When we do things wrong, when we've been in sin, when we have just done things the wrong way and outside of Yahweh's will and his timing and all of that, heartbreaks are bound to happen, okay? Trials are bound to happen. Negative outcomes are bound to happen, because we have to break out of what was never meant for us. We have to break out of the negative. We have to break out of sin. We have to break out of these things, and it's not going to be easy. It's just not. There's no easy way about it. There's no roundabout way to do it. You just have to be honest with this person. Just tell them, listen, I've gotten close with God, just, and I'm going to say it this way because, I know not many people use the Hebrew names and terms, but just be honest with them and say, listen, I've gotten close to God. He has revealed things to me, and I just know that this relationship is not for me. He's revealed these things to me. We haven't worked out. It's been this way and that way. And I want to focus on me right now, or even be honest with them and tell them that who your spouse is. Listen, and it's no easy way to tell somebody that. And I did an episode about the difference between, being protective and private and things like that. But then there's also a difference of lying and being secret and all those kind of things. If you're telling this person these things and then a week later you're with your ordained spouse, how's it going to look to them? Even though you're in the right, but you have to do it the right way. You know what I mean? You can't just like, hey, I'm done with this, and then the next few days you're talking with, even though it's your Yah ordained spouse, but imagine how it's going to look to them. And for those of you who just don't know how to break the news, you're obviously somebody that has a compassionate heart, so I know that you don't want to do it that way either. You know what I mean? And it's not the right way to do it. Even just because they're a counterfeit person doesn't make them a bad person necessarily, okay? They're probably good people, and they deserve the truth, and they deserve to be told and to be respected. And especially, like I said, if you have a child or children with this person, you're obviously going to be connected with this person for the rest of your life. Even once your kids grow up and stuff like that, I mean, you're always going to be connected to this person because you had children with this person. And especially if, I'm even going to say this, and I don't know why I'm saying this, but especially if you have like a child with a disability or something, you absolutely have to be connected to that other parent. You know what I mean? Like it's just how it is, And for some of you won't have to, because for some of you the parent is not in the child's life, or they're no longer. Maybe they just made that choice. Maybe, sadly and unfortunately, maybe they passed. I mean, there's different circumstances. And here's the thing, brothers and sisters, whatever your circumstance is regarding counterfeit situations, Yahuwah knows beginning to end, end to beginning. He knows every detail of what's going on in your life concerning these things. And he is going to show you what's the right way to go about it and what's the next steps to take. But I can tell you right now, just from what I've seen, from what I've learned and going through it myself, if you are someone that you're like, I don't know how to break this off because I'm living with this person, and if I leave, I have nowhere to go. First off, get rid of fear, because fear is not from Yahuwah. Get rid of confusion. It's not from Yahuwah. Those are all from the enemy. And just keep in mind that when you are doing the right things, when you are trying to get back on track, Yahuwah will make a way for you, okay? So again, you might have to sacrifice a little bit. You might have to go stay in a hotel. You might have to go stay with a friend. You might have to stay with a family member, okay? You might have to sleep in your car for a little bit, I don't know, It's a transition, and it's the next step, Is it going to stay like that? No, because now you're realigning yourself with him, and you're going to move on into the life he's been trying to give you. These things are just for a little while, okay? If you are someone that you don't know how to get out of this counterfeit situation because of obligations like finances or children, or you're worried about what other people are going to say, listen, like I said, take it to him in prayer. If it has to do with children, you might have to take it to the courts, okay? You might have to, because especially if this person is someone that, they're toxic. They might use that against you. They might, sadly, I've heard of this, both men and women using their children and things like that to get back at their exes, and it's, or to hurt them. And it's just a really sad situation, because when kids are involved, they're the ones that get hurt, And for some people, even though they know, like, they never should put themselves, they're like, well, now I have to stay because there's kids. Listen, I said this before in my Blending Families episodes. I get why people say that, but at the same time, you have to look at the bigger picture. You know what I mean? Are you truly honoring Yah by staying with this person for the sake of the kids? And are you actually doing good for these kids, or are you doing more harm than good by staying with their parent? You gotta really think about that. You know what I mean? And if you're going by what others say, you can't do that either, because what's more important, what man says or what Yahuwah says? And with the way that our world is, and with just everything that's going on right now, so many people unfortunately are being brainwashed, they're being blinded, they're being, you just really can't trust anybody anymore. You really have to go to him and him only concerning these things, really, really pray about these things with him. And if you are someone that just doesn't know how to tell this person because you don't want to hurt them, listen, I understand that, but listen, you just have to do it. There's no easy way to do it. You just be honest with them and tell them. I know it's hard. I get it. I don't like to hurt people either. I'm very sensitive with those things, but you have to do it. Eventually they'll get over it. They'll heal from it. And you're doing them a favor too, because like I said, it's not just you that's in this counterfeit situation. They are too. And we don't know what the plans are that Yahuwah has for that person. You know what I mean? So if you're someone that has been contemplating, man, how do I do this? How do I get out of this? What do I do with this situation, with that? How do I not hurt this person? Where am I going to go? Because I've been living with them for, 6 years and I have nowhere else to go, and this, that, and the next thing. Listen, pray about it. Pray about it, pray about it, pray about it. And whatever the Ruach lays on your heart to do it. Be obedient to that. And my honest opinions is, if you're someone that you're like, oh, I've been living with this person, I have nowhere to go. If I leave, if I move out, listen, do what you got to do. If you got to sleep in your car I know you're probably saying, Amanda, you're saying this and you have no idea how hard that is. Yes, I do. I do. But again, sometimes it's what has to be done. It's a sacrifice that has to be made. And sometimes it's what happens. These are the outcomes of our choices. We have to live with it. You know what I mean? He's a forgiving Elohim, but we have to live with these choices, or the outcome, not live with the choices. I'm sorry. We have to live with the outcome of it. He does bring us out of these things and he does give us better. Absolutely. But there's a transition that needs to take place. Do that, get a hotel room. You might have, like I said, you might have to stay with a friend if you can, or a family member, whatever you got to do, find a little apartment. If you are someone that's fortunate enough to have a little RV or a little camper, a little trailer or something, live out of that if you have to, until you get yourself back on your feet and realign with the will that he has for you. I mean, that's just how it's going to have to be. When it comes to children, like I said, you might have to take that to court and settle it in court so that, everything's legal, and that your ex is not going to be able to come back at you and say anything, or, and Yahuwah protects those that are obedient to him and that are following him, but still, better safe than sorry. You know what I mean? And again, when it comes down to how do I tell them, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Listen, you're going to end up hurting their feelings, no matter which way you go about it, no matter how you do it. But it has to be something that has to take place. If you keep holding off because you don't want to hurt this person's feelings, you're never going to get to where you need to be. Don't let that be something that keeps you held up or in bondage from the things that, Yahuwah wants to do in your life. Okay? Don't delay those blessings. Don't delay your assignment and your calling and your purpose. Okay? I know it's not easy. I know it's hard. But remember, we're going to face trials. We're going to face challenges. We just got to get through them. And when we're doing it for him, when we're doing it for the right thing, we're trying to get out of our sins. We're trying to get out of our past. We're trying to just, focus on Yahuwah and focus on the things he has for us. He will be there with us to help us. Absolutely, he will be. So that's what I wanted to come on and share. This was such a heavy topic today. And the person was like, please share this, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. Sorry about my phone going off. So I'm sorry. I always forget to put my phone on silent or something. So anyways, that is what he wanted me to share. Really important word, because there are quite a lot of people actually that are going through this right now. Please, if you have any more questions or need advice or anything like that concerning this particular topic, please reach out to me via email or connect with me through Facebook Messenger, and I would be happy to help you with that. Even though I'm on break, I'd be happy to help you. All right, that's the word for tonight, brothers and sisters. I love you all. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk with you in my next episode. Shalom.